Hey, welcome back to the Fire and Water Cooking Channel. I'm Darren. Today I'm going to do something I've never cooked before, and actually it's I don't know, I haven't seen a whole lot of videos on it on YouTube. So this is an arm steak from a cow. I'm going to go ahead and cook this arm steak, and we're going to cook it sous vide and on the barbecue. So I'll be right back. I'm going to show you how we're going to do this arm steak.
Smoking, grilling, getting hot and hotter. Sous vide and chilling from fire and water.
Alright guys, if you've watched any of my previous videos lately, you probably understand I about 4 months ago I purchased the whole steer from a friend of mine, had it processed, and I have a big freezer full of beef in there. And some of the stuff that I asked for, I wanted special cuts made from the processor so that I could show you guys how to cook these. And one of these was these arm steaks. And these usually come from the chuck and of course from the arm. And as you can tell, there's that round bone that you see that normally this type of meat is either cut into chuck steaks or ground into ground beef. The bone is usually what they use for marrow bones, so you don't really usually see a whole lot of these, but this is mostly chuck, so it's kind of tough. I've got it folded in half here. It's usually like this, about this long, but I've got it folded in half so I can put it in my chamber bag. But you can see the bone here. There's no bone on this side, so it's about a little over maybe 1.5 inches thick. But since it's folded over, it's like almost 3 inches thick. So we're gonna adjust our time for that to make sure that we're using enough time. But since this is a tough meat anyway, and more like a chuck or a round, I'm gonna go 24 hours on this. We're gonna cook it at 130, right at 132 degrees. I don't wanna go too high. There's not a whole lot of marbled fat on here, so I really don't need to render a whole lot of fat. But I do want to get it a little bit higher than the 130 or 131. So 132, I think, is going to give us a good medium rare, and 24 hours will get it cooked all the way through and tenderize it some. But we're going to go ahead. I got it simple salt, pepper, garlic seasoning in the bag here. It's thawed out already. It's not frozen. I just kind of wanted it thawed out so I could show you. I was thinking of maybe taking it out and showing you how wide it was, but I didn't want to have to waste another bag. But when I take it out to sear it, you'll see it's about this long, so and about 1.5 inches thick. But all right, arm steak, 132, 24 hours. I got it all bagged up already, so I'm not gonna have to show you that. I got my sous vide coming up to temp. It's not there yet, but I'm going to toss it in here anyway, and then as soon as it hits the temp 132, sous vide will count down. So other than that, I'll see you guys in 24 hours when we're taking this thing out, and I'll finish it up. See you then. Hey y'all, welcome back. It's been 24 hours. I got my PK grill already fired up and ready to go, and I'm going to pull this out and I'm going to season it up with a little bit of my black garlic and coffee steak rub that I got made up here, and it should be nice and tender. Well, let's see. You know, it is a chuck. Like I said, I normally go 36 to 48, but we're going to see if I can do this in 24 hours at 132 is going to be good. So it's ready to go. Let me get this out and we'll show you what we're going to do with it. All right, all. Well, here it is. I pulled it out. Now, see, there's plenty of juices in there. I'm just going to cut it right from the top. I'm going to let the juices stay in the bag. Just makes it easier for me to handle them. I'm going to be careful with this because it is kind of tender. It looks like it's starting to pull apart on me. Put these over here on the side so they don't spill. You can smell the salt, pepper, and garlic. You can see it doesn't look pretty. A lot of the all right, remember we had it folded over there in the bag, Now you can see what it looks like inside. So it really kind of cooked this like a roast because it was folded over. So we may end up with something a little bit different looking since kind of cooked it like a thick roast. So we might be a little bit more done on the middle than we thought we were going to be. But hey, that's why we do these things as experiments. You see the myoglobin on the outside here, darkened up. We are going to pat this dry. I'm going to leave the fat or the bone marrow in there as we cook it. Put a little bit of this black garlic coffee rub on. Flip it over. As you can tell, this side's looking a little bit different. It's a lot more red because, like I said, we had this folded over when we had it in the bag. So this was inside, so it's going to kind of be medium rare there on this side. But we're going to do the same thing. We're putting the black garlic and coffee rub on. Just make sure we got it patted dry really good here too. Yeah, it looks okay. Alright. I think we're ready to sear this thing up. See how it turns out. So I'm going to spray it down with a little bit of cooking spray, and then we're going to sear it up. I'll see you over at the PK grill. Hey guys, as you can see, my fire is really, really hot. So that grill gun really gets that fire going quick and hot. So we'll put a little bit of cooking spray on that side. That'll be the first side we hit with the sear. I'll hit a little bit on that side. We'll sear this bad boy up. Alright guys, you see it's starting to, that marrow starting to render and cause a little fire here, a little flare up. It's been on there for about 30 seconds or so. I'm going to go ahead and flip it. Kind of move it over here a little bit. So, and it'll probably start flaring up over here now. Got a little decent little sear on there so far. Some of you guys might know this as a Tom and Jerry steak or a cartoon steak or a Fred Flintstone steak. Since this is from like the front leg, not the rear leg, it's not as big as some of the others you may have seen on YouTube. You can see that marrow starting to render and cause a flare up. Alright guys, now is the moment we've all been waiting for. See, it's got a nice sear on there. I'm going to cut it right here so y'all can see the doneness. And not too bad there. I think that's still medium rare. More medium rare here than it was on these edges here. But still pretty medium rare. Now, it did cut pretty easy, but it's still, you can still tell it's not a fillet, that's for sure. Got a little bit of fat, a little bit of meat. Well, I'll tell you what. It's definitely not as tender as it could be, but it's tender enough for 24 hours on a chuck. I think it's pretty good. Really can't complain. It's not melt in your mouth tender, but it's not a really tough chew either. So take a look at that. Not bad at all. Hey, I don't know if you can find these at your grocery store or not, but since this is a since it was a custom order, you know, I can order these, so you could probably always order them from your butcher. But check it out, guys. Chuck arm steaks. They also have chuck arm roasts, which are a little bit thicker. Check it out. Make sure you like, subscribe, share, follow the Fire and Water Cooking channel on Facebook, Instagram. Check out the Fire and Water Cooking podcast. Hey, check out the sous vide and seared arm chuck roast. and steaks. See you again on the next fire and water cooking video.